Alright, so this lesson is going to be about testing for divisibility. Um, so you're going to learn how to test for divisibility for the following numbers: 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Uh, Testing for divisibility allows you to see if a certain number is divisible by another number. For example, 4 is divisible by 2. So yeah, if you do these tests, you'll find out if a number is evenly divisible by any of these numbers, 2 through 10. So starting off, to see if a number is divisible by 2, it ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So for example, 96 is divisible by 2 since it ends in 6. So you can evenly divide 96 by 2. Okay? So if it's divisible by 2, it ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. Now, to see if a number is divisible by 3, the sum of all its digits are divisible by 3. So for example, 54 is divisible by 3 because 5 plus 4 equals 9, and 9 is divisible by 3. So you just add together all the digits. Like if it's like 904, you do 9 plus 0 plus 4. You can just do this with any number. Just add all the digits, and if your sum, your answer after you add them all together, is divisible by 3, you can tell that the number is divisible by 3. Alright? So to see if a number is divisible by 4, the last two digits are divisible by 4. So, for example, you have 108. So, 08, or just 8, if you get rid of that, I think it's called the leading zero. Might be wrong on that. You can get rid of it. It's just 8. So 8 is divisible by 4. So you can say 108 is divisible by 4. So to test for divisibility with 4, the last two digits have to be divisible by 4. Alright? This next one's pretty easy. To see if a number is divisible by 5, the number ends in 0 or 5. So, for example, 95 ends with 5, so it is divisible by 5. And 100 is divisible by 5, it ends in 0. So, yeah, to test to see if a number is divisible by 5, the number has to end in 0 or 5. To see if a number is divisible by 6, it is divisible by 2 and 3. So here's my example here. So for example, 192 is divisible by 2 since it ends in 2. And so since it ends in 2, that means we know it's divisible by 2. So this is just me doing the other tests we learned earlier. And 1 plus 9 plus 2 equals 12. And 12 is divisible by 3. So we know that 192 is divisible by both 2 and 3. And therefore it is divisible by 6. Because it's divisible by 2 and 3. Alright. To see if a number is divisible by 8, the last three digits are divisible by 8. So it's the same thing as like 4, but it's the last three digits. So this really works best with like numbers in the thousands. So for example, 1200, so the last three digits, 200, they're divisible by 8. So 1200 is divisible evenly by 8. So as you can see, we just look at the last three digits, and if they're divisible by 8, then we know that our number is divisible by 8. So to see if a number is divisible by 9, the sum of its digits are divisible by 9. For example, 909 is divisible by 9 because 9 plus 0 plus 9 equals 18, and 18 is divisible by 9. As you know, 9 times 2 is 18. So it's the same thing as 3, except just the numbers have to be divisible by 9. So you just add them all together, and then if that number you get is divisible by 9, that number itself is divisible by 9. Alright? Okay, so to see if a number is divisible by 10, the last digit ends in 0. So, for example, 9,200 is divisible by 10 because it ends with 0. If you remember the last lesson with the repeating decimals to fractions, you can literally just move it one to the left when dividing by 10, so it's 920. But yeah, so all of the rules, so in order for a number to be divisible by 10, it just has to end in 0. Okay? Now finally, 7 is a little bit more tricky than the other ones, so I saved 7 for last. So to see if a number is divisible by 7, you take the last digit off of your number, so you don't subtract it, you literally like just remove it off of your number, then you multiply it by 2, the number that you removed off of the number, so the last number that you took off the end. You multiply whatever that number is by 2. Then you subtract the value you got by multiplying by 2 from the new value created from taking off the last digit. So I know that that's really wordy, so I'm going to show you an example so I can kind of maybe hopefully makes more sense. So again, to see if a number is divisible by 7, take the last digit off of your number, multiply it by 2, then subtract the value you got by multiplying by 2 from the new value created from taking off the last digit. If the new value is 0 or divisible by 7, your original number is divisible by 7. So I'm going to show you how you actually go through this. So, for example, is 4,606 divisible by 7? So our last digit here is 6. So what we do is we take the last digit off. So we take the last digit off. So we take 6 off. We multiply it by 2. So 6 times 2 is 12. So then if you notice that if we take this digit off, the only number we have left here, let me blank this out, is 460. So yeah, so 460 is what we have if we take 6 off. So what we do is we subtract this number on the new number we got by multiplying it by 2, by taking the number off at the end. We take 460 and we subtract 12. So I also have here, after taking off the 6, 460 is left over. 460 minus 12 is 448. So now, if 448, so it's not 0, so it can't be, so we have to see if it's divisible by 7. So 448, that's kind of hard to see it, like just right off the bat if that's divisible by 7. So I just did the test again. So we're going to do the same test, but we're going to do it on 448. So let's test to see if 448 is divisible by 7. Yep. So the last digit of 448 is 8. So we take the 8 off. We multiply it by 2. 8 times 2 is 16. So after removing the 8 from 448, 44 is that's all that left over. Because if you look up here with 448, if you get rid of the 8, all you have is 44. If you just literally take the whole digit off, you're left with 44. So that's where 44 came from. So 8 times 2 is 16. So we take our number, that after we took the digit off, we take this number, and we subtract 16. We subtract the number we got from multiplying this one by 2, the number we took off. So after we subtract it, we say, okay, so that's 28. Is 28 divisible by 7? And yes, as I hope you know, maybe you don't know if you don't know your times tables that well, 28 is divisible by 7. So by us figuring that out, 4,606 is divisible by 7, and 448 is also divisible by 7, because we just did the test on that too. So yeah, so 7, it's a little tricky. Here I'll zoom out a bit so you can see the full text here, because I noticed it was getting cut off a bit. So yeah, so that's how you test for divisibility from the numbers 1 through 10. I think there's tests available for 11, 12, and so on, but I'm just sticking with the first 10 digits to keep it easy. So yeah, if you have any other questions or if there's any advice you'd like to give,